Hi everyone! Welcome to Souped Up Recipes. It's been a while since the last time that I posted a dim sum recipe. Just in case you don't know what dim sum is, it's a Cantonese style brunch that people normally enjoy with tea. It's a variety of food that is prepared as small size and served in a bamboo steamer or on a small plate. Personally, I'm a huge fan of dim sum. I have a playlist of all the delicious dim sum recipe. I'll put the link in the description. You can check that out later. For now, I'm showing you another classic, Cantonese turnip cake. I know it sounds weird, but it's a dim sum staple. So let's get started. The name is called turnip cake, but we're actually using the Chinese daikon radish instead of the Western turnip. It looks like this. We call it lo ba in Cantonese, which is why this dish is named lo ba go. Besides turnip cake, we also use it to make meatballs, dumplings. We put it in soup, stew, or make pickles out of it. It's a popular ingredient, so you should be able to find it in most Asian markets. After you peel the skin and discard the end, cut the radish into 2 inches long sections. Take each section, slice it into 2 to 3 millimeter thick slabs. Stack the slabs on top of each other and cut them lengthwise into sticks that are 2 to 3 millimeter wide. Some people like to let the radish go through a grater to get some nice thin shreds. That way, your final product will turn out soft and mushy. I prefer these thick strips so I can get to feel the texture and really taste the radish. After you are done, put half of the radish strips into the bowl, roughly dice the rest. The reason I'm doing this is that the longer strips might be a little stiff out. These smaller pieces can fill up the space in between. It's like putting the puzzle pieces together. I know, radish does not sound like anything that would go into a cake. Just so you don't get confused, this is not the sweet kind of cake. It's savory and delicious. So let's talk about the ingredients that are actually making this recipe savory. 4 pieces of dried shiitake mushrooms. You can use fresh mushroom, but dry ones smells 10 times better. Soak them with clean water 4 hours in advance until they are nice and soft. Soak 30 grams of dried scallop and 30 grams of dried shrimp with water 1 hour in advance. Dried seafood develops a strong umami flavor, which is the key for a good lo ba go. This is Chinese cured pork belly. It says Chinese bacon on the package though. Again, Oriental markets will carry it. If you cannot find it, you can just use a thicker slice of cured meat. We only need 100 grams for this recipe, so cut it in half. The skin is on. Trim it off because it can be very tough and chewy. Slice the pork belly into 2 millimeter thick slabs, then julienne and dice them. This is Cantonese sausage. Same as the cured pork belly, we need to dice it. I do have recipe for homemade Cantonese sausage. Very easy to make. I'll put the link in the description. Go check it out. Now, let's get back to the soaking ingredients. They are fully rehydrated. Squeeze the water out of the mushroom. Do not throw away the soaking liquid because it is packed with umami flavor. Use a strainer to collect the liquid from the scallop and the shrimp. Put the umami liquid aside. We'll use that later. Same as before, we need to dice these ingredients. For the scallop, it's a little different. You just break it apart with your fingers. This should be easy because scallop shreds easily after it is soaked. Besides the soaked ingredients, we also need some fresh aromatics. 4 shallots. They look like mini red onions, but they are not because the smell is much intenser. If you ask, yes, you can use regular red onions. 4 cloves of garlic, finely diced as well. In a large mixing bowl, adding 400 grams of rice flour, This is what I'm using. I'll put the Amazon link in the description. Go check it out if you need it. Keep adding 120 grams of wheat starch. This is what I'm using. Again, the Amazon link will be in the description. If you cannot find it, you can use cornstarch or potato starch instead. Season it with 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, a big drizzle of sesame oil, some freshly ground white pepper to taste. You can also use black if you want. Pour in 800 grams of water. Carefully whisk everything. Check the bottom constantly. If you see any lumps like that, just keep mixing it until it is completely dissolved. Set it aside. Get your wok ready. Add 3 tablespoons of cooking oil while the wok is still cold. Follow up with the diced shallot and diced garlic. Turn the heat to low. Fry these aromatics until they are nice and golden. This will take 8 to 10 minutes. Stir continually so they don't get burned. Fried shallot and garlic together smells amazing. Once they look like this, use a strainer to fish them out. Leave the oil in the wok because we will use that to cook the mushroom, cured pork belly, sausage, and seafood. Stir them on medium heat for 5 minutes. To be honest, these ingredients is a little expensive. If you eat dim sum in a restaurant, they normally don't put that much, which is why it's so nice to make it at home. Take it out and set it aside. Keep using the same wok. Add all the radish in. This is the soaking liquid that we collected before. We need 400 grams, but I don't have enough, so I just add water to it. Pour it to the wok. Stir it around. The radish is cooked in the umami liquid. It's going to be good. Cover it, bring it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, keep stirring and cooking it at medium heat for 5 minutes. Or until your radish becomes translucent. Let me put a raw radish next to it. You can compare the color. It is also pretty soft. If you shake it, you will notice the difference. Okay, turn off the heat. Bring the starch mixture over here. Make sure you stir it first because starch like to sink to the bottom. We're gonna pour 1/4 of the mixture in. Again, make sure your heat is off. I'm using a gas stove. When the flame stops, heat stops too. But if you're using an electric stove, please move the wok away because the rest of the heat from the induction stove will keep cooking the food, and you will end up having starch sticking at the bottom of the wok. You just keep mixing this until there is no running liquid in the wok. Keep pouring another 1/4 of the mixture. Mix it again until you don't see any running liquid. You will get something like this. The starch is very creamy. Introduce the cooked ingredients that we prepared back to the wok. The seafood, cured meat, sausage, mushroom, fried shallots, and garlic. Mix until well combined. The benefit of using a wok is that you got so much room to stir around. Dump in the rest of the mixture. Keep mixing. At the end, you will have something looks like this. It is quite fluent, but it's also thick. The starch is not running away from the radish or other ingredients. That is what we want. You can cook a small amount in the microwave and taste it. See if you need to adjust the flavor. I like to make it less salty than my preference, so when you serve it with the dipping sauce, it will be perfect. You can use any container that fits your steamer. This 8 by 8 inches tin foil baking pan fits mine perfectly. Use parchment paper so it will be easier to take it out later. Jiggle the mixture around so it will be flat. Fill the steamer with water. Place the baking pan on the rack. This recipe is enough to fill up 2 baking pans. The lid you use must have some holes to let the steam escape. Use high heat to bring this to a boil, then turn the heat to low. Let it steam for 40 minutes. Turn off the heat. we're gonna take the cake out. The steam dripped back down, so the surface of the turnip cake will have some liquid. Just carefully pour that out. Take it off the steamer, let it cool completely. I usually just let it sit in the fridge overnight. Place a cutting board to cover it and flip it over. Discard the baking pan and the parchment paper. Now you can cut it into whatever size you like. I know this recipe looks complicated, which is why whenever I make it, I make a big batch. This recipe can get you 60 pieces of these 2.5 by 1.5 by half-inch slabs. I just eat as much as I want and save the rest in the freezer. Be sure to wrap each piece with parchment paper or else it will stick together when it's frozen. Whenever you want to cook them again, don't need to defrost, just directly pan fry it. Place the turnip cake in a cast iron skillet with some oil. Pan fry them on medium-low heat. Each side needs a couple minutes. Once it's nice and golden brown, take them out. Garnish with some green onions and you can enjoy. For dipping sauce, hot sriracha is great. If you don't eat spicy food, hoisin sauce is perfect. This is how the bottle looks. It is sweet and nutty. I'll put the Amazon link in the description. These two are restaurant basic sauce for dim sum. This savory turnip cake, lok bak go, smells so good. You can taste the radish, but you're not just eating the radish only. All the other ingredients made it so flavorful and yummy. The outside layer is nice and crispy. Inside is soft and tender. Perfect texture. And don't forget to make some tea or else you can't call it dim sum. What I'm making is black tea, but you can do anything you like, such as green tea, porter, jasmine, or oolong. Dim sum usually comes with lots of food options. Tea helps you to slow down and really enjoy it. I hope you give this a try soon. If you did, leave me a comment, let me know how it goes. As always, you can click the link in the description and find the printable recipe. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!